addition to that, we get support from the Santa Cruz Harbor Patrol, Santa Cruz State. The 27th annual Roughwater Swim. It started in 1974, and it really started as a small community event, and it's grown over the years, but it's remained pretty much the same in the last, I'd say, 5 to 6 years. It's been a great race. It'll be a great turnout from the San Francisco Bay Area, and a lot of local swimmers too. Somebody who's a good swimmer, can tolerate some cold water. I think they'll probably have a really good time in this race. It is a good race, you know, at a beginner level for ocean water swimming, at least in my opinion it is. Most of these people swim in a series of swims all summer long. They'll swim, you know, up in Northern California as far north as Redding, Lake Berryessa, Lake Del Valle, in San Francisco Bay. So they see each other. As a matter of fact, if we get the results wrong, they know that we've got the results wrong because they'll tell us, there's no way I beat this person. So they all know each other. They swim on teams together throughout the Bay Area, and they see each other every week, basically. So yeah, there is a ton of camaraderie out there, and that's part of master swimming and part of open water swimming.
This guy he swam the Straits of Magellan in December. 3.5 miles, 39-degree water temperature.
What? So this is a walk in the park today.
Piece of cake.
This is a piece of cake. Yeah. A piece of torta.
It's a cake. I can call it a frozen Eskimo pie.
Right.
How's the water here compared to other races you've done? Is this colder? Or?
Oh no, this is warmer. We swim, the whole group over here swim in the bay in San Francisco, so we are used to under 50, 55 degrees. The whole group here, we swim every morning.
You came down as a group? San Francisco?
Yeah, we get together every year to do this race over here. It's one of the best ones because the water is so warm and so nice.
This is your pre-race routine then?
There's no routine here.
There's no routine?
There's no routine.
Well, what's your strategy then?
What's my strategy? I don't know. I'm stressed that I'm going to freeze out there. I don't have a strategy. I'm waiting until the last possible second to get in. I don't know about these people in the water now. I think they're going to freeze.
So yeah, that seems to be a different, you know, some people are getting used to it and you're saying, no, I'm saving it.
I'm saving it, yeah, for that shock. I think I'm going to swim that much faster.
Maybe the shock will help propel you.
But don't find me at the end because I'm probably going to be last.
It's one of those things that you know, the water's cold and it's something that you do and it makes you feel like you've accomplished something when it's over. You know, the butterflies in your stomach and all that sort of thing, but when it's over, you feel like you've done something that other people wouldn't have done. So it's enjoyable and it's healthy. It's like, you know, if you don't do competition, then you don't just swim normally. So if you work out, if you don't have something to look forward to that you're going to compete with, then you can always think of some reason you don't want to go swimming just on a normal basis. So that's the reason I do it.
And who's going to win between the family?
This guy. Well, Mom, probably. We'll see.
It'll be close between... Actually, we're all three... hopefully all three of us will be within 30 seconds of each other.
All right, well, you guys have a good time.
Thanks. Yeah.
Stay warm, if possible.
Oh, well, it's not that bad. It's warmer than last year. We did this last year.
High 50s, low 60s, it should be.
Yeah.
It should be nice.
A little cold.
Cold. Chilly.
Really, really, really cold.
How cold is the water out there?
Oh, it's not too bad. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, do you swim this race a lot?
Actually, this is my first swim.
What are you thinking about it?
Thinking about 5 minutes in, it's warm enough to get all the way through.
Oh, yeah?
Definitely.
And how long does it take to get to the halfway point?
You know, I have no idea. Probably, I'm thinking 15 minutes at the most. It's about a half-an-hour swim, I think.
So if you can last 15 minutes, you've got it made, because you got it made.
You got to get back in somehow.
Yeah. Good.
You don't want to take the boat, you know.
Well, there's a boat then.
There's a boat that you raise your hand, they'll pull you out.
I tiptoe in.
2 inches is fairly warm. I'm going to feel that temperature.
Our goal as an organization is to provide a community service. We're an adult fitness swimming organization. We're set up to help people get their daily exercise by swimming. Master swimming starts at 19 years old. It goes as old as there are people showing up. In pool meets, it's real common to have 80-year-olds and 85-year-old people swimming. Not uncommon to have 90-year-old people swimming. In the open water swims, pretty common that we have a lot of 70-year-old people swimming, both men and women, that'll do this 1 mile swim, and then they'll do the 2s as well. So master swimming accommodates a wide age range of people and people with different goals. Some of the people are really competitive and they like to compete, and that is the draw for them. Some people just like it's a personal challenge.
It's kind of challenging because you go around the pier, and I just like the ocean swimming. It's fun.
Well, it's going to be the same as for the last 26 years, is to get from point A to point B, which is a mile away, and try not to get stepped on, trampled, or run over in the water.
We regularly get compliments for the level of safety that we provide in this swim. They are all Santa Cruz lifeguards or Santa Cruz junior lifeguards. In addition to that, we get support from the Santa Cruz Harbor Patrol, Santa Cruz State Lifeguards, and the Coast Guard with their rescue boats. So we actually had 5 rescue boats out there today, and I'd guess about 25 paddlers who are all lifeguard certified and work actually here on the beaches. And that's really who the race benefits too, so it's kind of a win-win for everybody. There is not a ton of current on the course, especially today. It didn't look like we had much, but you can usually find a current moving west to east, and that can push you into the pier. And the pier's not straight either. There's a turn on it, so there's a little bit of strategy in terms of making sure you're swimming the straightest angle and that type of thing. And you'll see the better swimmers have already figured that stuff out. So.
I thought I saw it there. Oh, there. I see you waving. You know somebody out there?
Yeah, right there. The only one doing the backstroke.
The only one doing the backstroke. And who would that be?
Her name's Susan. She's right in front, sort of the middle.
Yeah.
Backstroke right there.
Friend of yours, or?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And how come you're not out there with her?
Oh, I'm not a master swimmer.
What does the master swimmer entail?
You just have to be a member of the master's program to do the swim.
Uh-huh.
So, more warm water.
But they're not necessarily crazy or anything, they're just good swimmers.
No, they're probably crazy too.
I know you're looking with binoculars. You know somebody out there?
Yeah, but he's way up there by now.
Who are you looking for?
I'm looking for Dave Sutton.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And he's out there somewhere?
He's out there somewhere, yeah. He's a regular out here.
You're hoping he's going to come back, I guess.
You mean survive?
Yeah.
Oh, he'll survive. Yeah, this is nothing for Dave.
Oh, really?
Oh, nothing. This guy swims from Alcatraz, you know, comes in the shore, gets in a 50-mile bicycle race, and comes in second.
And how come you're not out there with Dave?
I'm not as foolish as he is.
Some people just love doing the swim. They love being in the open water, the experience of feeling the ocean and being out there with the fish and the seals, and you know, it's just a fantastic feeling. And to be part of that element. You know, some people you know, love to have their group of people that they compete against, and they can have this friendly rivalry, and then other people are content to roll over on their back and stroke easy and just enjoy the scenery and being out in the elements.
I didn't think I could do it, but the cold gets about halfway out there where you start getting accustomed to the cold. And then, and you know, I'm from Scotts Valley, so I thought, well, I'll come down and see if I can go around the pier.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. I feel good to finish.
Survived for another year. Live to tell about it.
How'd you do?
Very well. Thank you very much.
What do you think?
Oh, it's great. Sun's coming out, too.
What's the water temp?
60 degrees warm. Glad I'm wearing a wetsuit.
Was this your first race?
Mm-hmm.
And how did it feel?
Good.
And were you the youngest?
I don't know.
She was probably the youngest. It was fun because we got to swim with her, and it's like the most wonderful thing that ever happened to be able to swim with your child. I've done this swim about 15, God knows how many times, but to do it with her, it's the best ever. The best ever.
We start next to the Capitola Wharf. We're just east of the Capitola Wharf. And we go straight off the beach. We go directly out into the bay for 2 miles, just straight out. At the 2-mile mark, we've got a boat anchored. That boat is the turn boat. When people get to that boat, they know they're going to make a right turn and turn to the west. And then they'll swim on a straight line from that boat directly to the end of the Santa Cruz Pier. That is 3.5 miles to the end of the Santa Cruz Pier. The last half mile is from the end of the pier into the beach. And so it's a pretty straightforward course. There's nothing complicated about it. We just have to make sure that we've got good visibility before we start the race. If the fog's down low and we need to wait for the fog to get up high, we want to make sure that no one is out there in the water not knowing where they're going. So that's first and foremost is safety.
I like to train when it's foggy because that's sort of your worst possible condition as far as being cold. So I think it's good preparation because if you do get a foggy day here, then you're used to that. It's always nice to be out when it's sunny though, because then you can get some heat from that.
What do you think about when you're out here?
I think about my stroke, I think about my technique and just trying to keep it going, and to keep warm I try to think about any solar energy that's getting into you. And if the sun's not out, you still can sort of feel some of it. There's always a little something.
My strategy is to finish. I'm not going to be probably one of the top swimmers and one of the top finishers. In fact, I know I won't be, but I'm shooting for 3 hours or less if the conditions warrant it, and that's what makes all the difference in the world, depending on how the conditions are.
But what's nice about that is you can see the finish from the start.
What are you thinking about when you're out
You're at the Pismo Pier.
I have a mantra that I repeat, that I'm a finely tuned swimming machine creating heat and energy. And I mainly think of the heat because that's probably the most difficult part, is keeping your body warm so that you can keep moving and keep your stroke strong, for me.
First Pier. First 7 or 6 mile swim.
It seems like that water is cold and it's a lot of work, bordering on pain, I would say. Why do you choose to do a race like this?
I guess pretty much for the challenge of it, and
because you're nuts.
Yeah, maybe a little masochistic. I like a little pain. I think my biggest worry though is a little bit of the cold, the hypothermia setting in. But I think I'll be just fine, and I have a really good paddler keeping an eye out on me.
And well, tell me, what is it the paddler's job is to do?
She's basically gonna follow me. Every time she breathes, she's just going to keep an eye on me, and I'm just going to lead her towards the buoys because she's not going to see the marks. And then, since she's a lot lower in the water, she won't see the wharf from where we make the point. We make a turn at Sickle Point, which is 2 miles out. And so I can see the end of the wharf, but she can't, so she just follows me all the way in. And then I provide her with water and food if she wants it, and just make sure that she doesn't get hypothermic.
What would you be looking for signs of hypothermia? And
if her stroke count really slows down, or her mechanics go way off, or when I talk to her and she's really not oriented, or she starts slurring her words, but she says she slurs her words. Anyway, so we'll see.
She starts asking for pizza or something, maybe.
Or she starts going under, that's probably
going under is a good sign, huh?
Yeah. This race I've done every year. I think there's been 10 of them. And I've also done
2 or 3 more before that. So this is kind of my favorite swim because gives you a good thrill. There's lots of animals out there. You run through some kelp. That's kind of interesting. And occasional jellyfish every once in a while. Those things probably scare me the most. But I love the ocean.
Do you go into it with a goal every year? And if so, what is it for this year?
The goal this year is to have fun. And that's kind of what I like to do every year, is to have fun in the race. There's not too many people in my age group, so I do pretty well every year, and that's kind of nice. But it's a fun race. It's long, it's cold, and the people are less excited than a big old giant 400-man around the pier swim. There's not so many people, and they're pretty low-key.
Well, every year when I do this event, it's like an adventure. You know, you never know how the ocean's going to be out there, so there's a lot of excitement, you know, building up to the event, and then you know, you meet different challenges during the course of the event, and what I really like most of all is landing on the beach in Santa Cruz. Oh, well, with regards to swimming, I've always been a swimmer as far back as I can remember. I swam AAU, and then I swam on the varsity swim team in high school. I was captain of the varsity swim team in my senior year when I lost my leg in a motorcycle accident. So the transition to the water was just natural, as I'm at less of a disadvantage in the water than I am on land. I had to give up the high hurdles, so I just focused more on swimming. In 1988, I came over here and I swam the wharf just for fun, and then back in the summer of 1992, I swam the wharf again, and I found out about the peer-to-peer, and I'd been training a lot, and I was in real good shape, so I thought, well, I'd like to try the peer-to-peer. So I did that. We swam it in October that year, and that year we swam from Santa Cruz to Capitola and landed here on this beach. And that was a swim that was very difficult because I had a very steep learning curve. I made a lot of errors in it. I didn't wear goggles. I wore the wrong kind of hood. I didn't take any refreshments while I was swimming, so I went hypothermic, and my neck was cut all the way around from the hood, and my eyes swelled shut, and I went badly hypothermic for about the last hour and a half or so of the race. I was fundamentally convulsing with every stroke that I took. So everything since then has been downhill. And since then I've done this race. I've had the opportunity to use it 6 more times. And with experience and the proper cold water conditioning, it has been less brutal than the first time, thank goodness. And in that sense, a lot more fun. When I came back was a sense of accomplishment in overcoming all the difficulties I had the first time. And also the assurance and the self-confidence that came from that, and the information I had now about how to approach it in a more organized manner, you know. So I wanted to put all those lessons to use, and that's what I've been doing. And every time I swim, I learn a different lesson. It seems like, and mostly the hard way, but I learn them, and it gets better each year, I think. So that now when I approach this race, even though I know it's going to be very difficult, I can do it with confidence, you know, that I'm going to do well.
What's going to happen is the kayakers are going to go out and gather outside because we can't get off the beach at the same time. It'd be too confusing. Swimmers will be in a big group, and when the starting gun goes off, they'll go hit the water and start swimming in a pack out past the wharf. And as they swim in the pack, they'll start to spread out, and the escorts will then move in and start finding their swimmer and selecting them, so that usually by about the end of the wharf, everybody's found their swimmer and matched up with them, so they can give them a course out after the end of the wharf and stuff like that. So you have to wander around and find the right swimmer, and you'll be paddling along for a little while and realize this isn't the right swimmer because all you see is a little red cap in the ocean. So until you get that all figured out, and about 100, 150 yards past the wharf, most people have gotten it straightened out and gotten the right time spot. And then about then is when the kayaker or the escort can pick up the sailboat, which is outside, for your first course site. There'll be a few buoys along the way that you'll be paying attention to. I believe usually every year you're not required to go one side or the other of the buoy, you just have to go one side of the boat. General theory is the boat's parked out there, and the shortest course is to go out to the boat and go to the wharf, so it doesn't matter how you go around the buoys. The buoys are generally used just to mark your course, so you set a pretty straight course, minimize the distance your swimmer has to swim. And the escorts have to kind of take into account things like the tide and the current and the winds, so that you kind of set a course so your swimmer doesn't get blown off and have to swim farther than he would need to if he had to swimming a course. Once we get off the beach and start gathering up our swimmers, you also are a little bit responsible for not running your swimmer over another swimmer. So you want to try and steer a course so if yours is a little bit faster than one ahead of you, you don't kind of surprise him and come up behind him.
Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Swimmer. We'll break it off. Yeah.
So do you know what just went by here?
No idea what went by there.
When you saw the people swimming?
Yeah, I did.
They're swimming all the way to Santa Cruz Wharf. What do you think about that?
That's a long haul.
Yeah?
I couldn't make it.
Personally, I think they're crazy. The water's cold, and that's a long way.
You got to be pretty courageous to do that. I mean, that water is really cold.
Set in the wrong spot. Trying to turn a little bit to the right now. I'm trying to guide him off to the left so he's heading off towards the boat. Yeah, there's a lot of big jellies, and if I cut right in front of you...
by one of them, yeah.
We went through the tide scum line right there, just before the boat. We'll probably have to cut back through it when we go back the other side. We'll swing around, but that's where they're all hanging out in the scum line when the tide came out.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Locked in there, huh?
Yep. How are you doing?
Real good.
Okay.
My leg keeps wanting to cramp, but it hasn't yet.
Okay. Well, we're a little early, aren't we? Wasn't it an hour 15 last time?
Yeah, it was just fast here when it cramped.
Okay. All righty.
I took a quinine this time before I started. My concern is it shouldn't be cramping at all.
Oh, okay.
What the hell?
Well, tell me if you got any problems with that.
Get to it.
Okay. we're heading out. He's getting along really good. Got a good stroke rate. We're having a little problem with some jellyfish. They're right in the tide line. They're real big ones too, like about, one of them I saw was almost 1.5 feet across.
For a goo and some water.
All righty.
How's your guy doing?
Oh, he's great.
That's my shark.
He's only been hit a couple times, but he's doing okay.
How's your swimmer doing?
He's doing great.
How's your swimmer doing?
Oh, he's looking good.
Yeah?
Got a real nice, long, easy stroke. Picking up places now and then. He's doing well.
Topless woman swims pier to pier, use an 11.
She was naked.
Well, still got a sense of humor, so I guess it's going well, huh?
Doing great, yeah. Hour and a half.
How you doing?
Just fine.
All right, we're past halfway point. You still have a cramp problem?
Oh, yeah, crap.
We've got about one more water break and we'll hit the harbor.
Cool.
And I'm swinging in a little bit. We're now outside of almost all the kelp, so we should be clear of all that stuff.
Yeah, the water's a lot cleaner in here.
Yeah, the red tide has dissipated out here too. It seems to be a lot nicer water.
Much nicer out here.
Most of the other group are inside, but I was told that some of their spotters made a mistake and tracked on the harbor, so they're still working their stuff outside. We'll have a little bit more distance, but we'll have cleaner water out here probably.
Yeah, cleaner water, and am I still ahead of the one guy?
Yeah, there's still one off to the right.
Anyone I can catch?
Not at the moment. We'll have to see. I saw a couple coming back towards us. There's two off to the right here that I think we can swing in and catch.
Okay. Well, I'll get them next year.
We're there.
Does he see me?
He does. He'll miss you. He'll give you a good tap by.
Well, besides the jellyfish and the two sharks we had to bite off, we're doing fine. And my paddler's holding me up. He can't paddle fast enough. But we're on our way.
Good luck.
Doing great. Having a great swim.
Second place, I guess, right now?
Yep.
Got a sprint left?
I hope so.
When did you feel like, yeah, I'm in good shape here and maybe I can even pull this off?
It was probably an hour and a half out.
and the water was finally a little clearer, and my paddler John told me I was actually out ahead, which was a surprise, and so I figured once I was out there I better keep going. And then it started to be a lot more fun. We were really racing, and it was a great distraction from the conditions because it was still a little bit cold out there.
Number 2 wasn't far behind you all along there. Were you looking over? Do you look over your shoulder when you're doing a race like this? Is that your paddler's job?
Anytime I stop, and we stop about every 15 minutes to drink some warm stuff and maybe eat a little. And at those points, I would look and I could see his boat. I couldn't really see him. And then I'd see other boats, and there were a couple other kayaks, so I always told myself that was another swimmer, even if I knew it wasn't, because I could be wrong, and I needed that pressure. The boardwalk is great to see, and it takes a long time to even get to the harbor, but when you finally get past that and get to the boardwalk, that's nice, but then it's really rounding this corner that you know you're coming in. And I've lost positions in the past. I've had people pass me halfway down the wharf, and I wasn't going to let that happen again. That happened last year, actually.
What does your body feel like as you're like, you know, you hit sand for the first time again? How do you feel?
I'm a little clumsy on the land anyways, so, you know, I know I've done a lot of races where you come out and you got to come out of the water running, so I'm used to it. I try to save a little bit so I will be able to stand up and not fall over.
Collect those trophies.
Yeah, or just make it up the beach without falling on somebody.
As brutal as it can get out there at times, as cold as it is and as difficult as it is, it's also very beautiful. You know, there's a real sense of belonging in the ocean at times that is hard to explain to people who don't quite get it. To be swimming out there in a day like today when it's heavy fog, and to have the sun come out while you're swimming along, or to have a pod of dolphins swimming alongside of you, or sea lions, you know, visiting, there's a lot of really beautiful things out there. And swimming like this has given me the opportunity to see different sights from a perspective that most people don't get an opportunity to, such as seeing the sunrise over the city, over San Francisco, swimming in the bay on swims, or swimming underneath the Golden Gate. It's true you can go out there in a boat, but it's not quite the same thing as swimming. And seeing it from a fisheye view, if you like.
This was my eighth trip. Yeah.
Any different than the rest, or?
Actually, I would say out of all the swims I've done, this has to be, if not the easiest, one of the easiest. The conditions were just really pretty nice out there today, in spite of the fact that we had a real heavy red tide, which wasn't very pleasant to swim through. And we did run into a number of jellyfish. I've never seen that many jellyfish before. But aside from that, the water was smooth. It really wasn't that cold, and we didn't run into a headwind this year. And so it was really, for my experience with it, was a pretty fun trip, relatively speaking.
My shoulders are gone. I don't know if I'll ever be able to swim again in my life.